Now that we're all set creating our tags with our shared parameters, let's get our families placed into our floor plan and tag. So to start the process, let's go over to our NF floor plan file. As you can see, mine is in my recent documents. Yours, you may have to browse to where you saved it on your machine. But before we load those families into the file, we need to do some quick edits to the families. So first, let's get to our single wood panel group door. Again, it's in my recent documents. Here, the one thing that we didn't do was to select that magical shared parameter for this file. So what I just did was select the door and go to family category and parameters and went to shared. And now if you're in the floor plan, you can go ahead and make some changes to the door. So the way that we originally loaded the family or created the family, my doors weren't swinging in the correct direction. So I just made that change. And now we're going to go ahead and load this into the project. So NF floor plan. And we can go ahead and select OK. And now we can go into our next file, which is a single wet panel file. And if you remember, we originally did not create that number of panels parameters, so we need to add that here in family types. So let's go over to add shared parameter, and let's go ahead and select materials and finishes and go to that number of panels. Okay. And of course, let's group it properly under materials and finishes. Okay. And we're just going to go ahead and put in 3 because that's the number of panels that door panel type 1 has, as you can see. And of course, we created the scenario where those lines aren't showing. So we need to select that panel file that's been nested in and edit it in its file directly. So let's go back to that edit family. And we're going to get to those lines once again that define the panel. And we're going to go to visibility settings and we're going to turn it off in the front, back, and left, right. So it's not visible in any view. Okay. And now we can go ahead and load this into our family. And the single wet panel. Okay. Now, as you just saw, I forgot to deselect NF floor plan. So now I've actually loaded the panel 1 family individually into our file. And yes, I'm going to overwrite that and save. And now we're ready to go ahead and load this door into our project. So NF floor plan, okay. Okay. And finally, we go ahead and add our last family. Just go ahead and load from within the modified door because we already have the command active. And you have to browse to where you have your family saved on your machine. And let's go ahead and grab that single wood panel transom file, but make sure you don't grab the one with the numbers behind it because that's a working file that's created in Revit, kind of like the autosave files in AutoCAD. So let's go ahead and get out of that command. And when you mouse over, you can see that the doors that we currently have placed in the file our single flush doors. And we want to swap these out to that single wood panel transom door at the same width. So we're just going to go ahead and get down to single wood panel transom 36 by 84. Okay, so now you can see that we have that as those door types. Again, if I mouse over, you can now see that the door type has been changed. And now we can go ahead and drop that group door in. So let's get back into the door command. Let's drop in our single wood panel group. And we're all set with that. So let's go over to this door, this small office, and go ahead and change that to the single wood panel door. So now let's get our doors tagged. So these two doors, because it has the transom over it, or first we'll start with the gang door actually. So we'll go ahead and tag that door just by going to annotate, tag by category, and as you can see, the main door is being tagged, but I can't get a tag for the other doors. So we need to go ahead and edit that family again to see what's going on. So let's edit family. And we're going to open that file natively. So let's go ahead and edit that family. And again, in the browser, we're going to go down to the other, and under other, there's shared. We can select that and go ahead and load it back into that single wood panel group family file. So this time I'm going to go ahead and deselect the NF floor plan file and select the proper file that we want it to be loaded into. Of course, we're going to overwrite it in its parameters. And now we can load it into the project again. So we can select that NF floor plan file. Okay. And now when we go back, after we, yes, overwrite the existing version and its parameters, give it a moment, and now we go back to annotate and tag that category. When we tab, we can now tag those doors individually. So everything's working out with this door now. Getting back to these doors, the single wood panel transom, the way to tag them, to get to the window, we need to create an elevation. So we're going to go over to the View tab, Elevation, and let's place that elevation. And we'll look at that view. And now we're going to go back to annotate, tag by category, and we'll just get to both of those very simply. And as you can see, you have two different tag types, the one for the door and the one for the window. And the doors are tagged sequentially, which is typical for doors, while the windows have the same number because windows are typically tagged by type. So it's the same type of window. They're both transom, so they're both numbered 11. Okay, Control Tab to get back to our plan. And now let's move on to our next door where we're going to use the door tag that we created, that single category tag. So to do this, we're going to go on over to annotate again. And we're going to load that tag. So under tags, we're going to go loaded tags and symbols, and we're going to load that family. So we're going to browse to where you have it saved on your machine again. MTag panel is the one that we want. And we're going to open that file. As you can see, it's now replaced the other door tag next to doors. And then when we go to tag by category, we now get our single category tag that we created, noting the number of panels for the door. Now let's see how our multi-category tag works. First, let's swap this door out because we left it as a single flush, so let's swap it out to that same single wood panel door. Okay, and this time we're going to go load the family the same way we did before. Browsing to where you have your family saved on your machine. MTag door panel is what we'll be opening. But this time you'll see it didn't replace it in the doors because it's a multi-category tag. We're just loading it into the project. So now we need to go back to annotate and go ahead and select that multi-category tag. And now you see our tag shows up. So this could be slightly confusing because of course you have 4, which is actually the door number, and 3, which is the number of panels. So you may want to swap that out for an A or a B to represent the number of panels, like 3 equals A and 4 equals B, because that can be slightly confusing when you have more than one or those two numbers together. Which one is the door number and which one is for the panels. So now we've placed our nested families and tagged them. The next thing is to get these into a schedule. So see you in the next tutorial. We'll be creating schedules with these families and tags.